In this video, I'm speaking about why I left McKinsey after 8 inspiring years and started my own career coaching venture, and what were the most important steps and insights on that way. So let's go. Alright, so before we even speak about why I left McKinsey, let's rather speak about why I joined McKinsey in first place. And back then the reason was simple, because I could. Right? So I had the academic record. I honestly didn't really know what to do with my life, so I decided for a company where I will keep all options. Because if you have worked for a company like McKinsey and Company, you will have all doors open afterwards. And it's true, right? So the moment I was deciding to leave, I had already 3 job offers on my table from ex-colleagues, right? 2 of them even knew before I officially announced that I'm leaving, that I would leave, right? And proactively reach out to me. Now, but that's not the point. The point is I joined McKinsey because I couldn't answer the question why I would like to do it in first place. And why? Because I was lacking a career vision back then. I was not clear on the topic why I would like to do something. What ultimately will it help me with? What ultimately will it lead me to? And that is something which you should not do. And the reason for this is if you are not clear in which direction you would want to go with your career, it's super hard to face trade-off decisions. And it's also super hard to understand if the pain that you're putting in a more intense role, in a more demanding role, is gonna really pay off in the end or not, right? Many people that I'm also currently working with look back to their own impressive career and track record and are telling me that like at least 30 to 40% of what they did back then was not necessary to be at the same point where they are now, right? So 30 to 40%. And you can do the math now, calculating this in working hours, right? Oh, that's not a good thing. Back then, I did that, right? Because I was able to do it. I had the offer on the table and I decided to go for it. And after my first project, which was great because I had a great project manager, I had an absolute miserable time with my second project to a point where I actually considered quitting the next Monday, right? So it was that worth. And again, it was because of my back then project lead that just didn't know what he was doing, right? So in hindsight, I can say this, but back then I didn't know anything about this, and it's not a bad thing to look first for failures and mistakes with yourself, but it's also something where you're just very dependent on how your superiors are leading you, how are they steering things, how they are prioritizing things, how they are managing things, right? Yes, there is always responsibility on your end too, but if you are in an environment like this and in a situation, in a context like this, your influence is limited, right? So this is what I know now. This is what I didn't know when I started my first job at McKinsey after like, let's say 6-7 months or so. Now, once I overcame this and I found the right mentors in my life, and I'm super thankful. And if you guys are seeing this right now, you know that you have been a big part of my whole development and journey, so thanks for that. However, let's go back. If you are then embarking and climbing up the ladders within a top strategy consulting company like McKinsey, you will usually enjoy the work more and more, right? Because otherwise you would leave after some certain time, and that was exactly the case with me. So the second I had my privilege to steer, to decide, to drive projects by myself proactively, it got better. And I really loved intensive work. I absolutely loved to crack hard problems together with clients, to make sure to get progress, to make sure to implement things that clients have said is not possible since 2 decades, right? And then like the McKinsey team together with the client team, that's an important part. We'll speak about this on this channel sometimes later, I think, have just done it, right? Because they didn't believe it was impossible. They just went about this and needed to solve the unsurprisingly big issues on the way, right? But once I have then established more and more this type of work and responsibilities, and by myself then started to lead younger consultants, to coach them, to train them, to make sure they are performing, after this, I enjoyed this role more and more. I enjoyed it so much that I decided, once I went for my educational leave, I was doing a PhD, that in parallel I'm also getting trained and certified also in a professional coaching as well as in a professional training setting, to make sure that what I was doing there in my own sphere, I could scale this later on within my time at McKinsey. And that paid off big time. But more to this in a bit. Now, I was rated very well at McKinsey. My trajectory looked good. My track record looked good. However, there was one thing coming up, and I noticed this already very early in my career. And that was my wife and our first child, right? And back then I believed, yeah, I'm the one that is able to manage both, right? My professional career and also being the father and husband I wanted to be. And with the first child, it still was kind of working, right? So with pain for all sides involved. But with knowing there is a second child on the horizon, it was absolutely clear that I cannot do all of this at the same time. And for me, it also was always clear, right? If I really need to decide in between my professional life and my family life, I would always choose my family life. Always, 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 right? But I mean, if the question was rather if you really need to choose or if you cannot do both, right? And as I said, I was managing this until the first child was like a year or two or so, but absolutely impossible for me to do the same with also the second child. So this was the time when I realized, okay, I need to pivot now, right? I need to do something else with my life. And this was also the time when I then remembered, yeah, but you're working for McKinsey & Company, right? So there are all open doors and all chances you could take from. What happened is, as I said at the beginning, 3 job offers before I even started to look around. But here's the thing. If I would have taken one of these job offers, it would have been again something that I just do without reflecting properly. What do I want from my next professional endeavor? And why is it a good choice long term? And that is what really made me thinking, what really kicked off this reflection process for the first time in my professional life, which is a bit ridiculous, right? Knowing that I've gone through a full coaching degree and certificate as well as a trainer degree and certificate, but I didn't take my own medicine back then, right? So I was guiding already a lot of people on their careers, but I never was going deep and honest with myself. Because I was of the belief that I can just manage, right? Then I will be capable of doing everything that is important to me at the same time. And with the realization that I was plain wrong about this, I started to then dig deeper, right? And I found out that my only passion that I could think of is to help people develop, to help people going into trajectories that are more fulfilling for them, to help people break free from the belief of they need to live up to others' expectations, and instead for the first time really acting for themselves, really uncovering, unleashing the individual beliefs and requirements they have for their lives, to then make sure that you also give them guidance on the way. Because just having a good idea and a good plan is unfortunately not getting you anywhere. That's the reason why I love books, but books are not delivering a transformation. They give you good ideas, but you need like a plan also in times where you're not sure if you should go left and right, because a career transition and professional development journey is an individual journey with individual challenges and objectives, and no general book guidance can give you that. And shouldn't even give you that, because books were never written for this. Maybe focus here on what I then did at my time at McKinsey. So I was going into that mode of helping more and more younger colleagues, and then also like peers started to reach out, and even superiors started to ask me questions about their professional careers, which is kind of funny, right? But also this happened. And in addition, a lot, and I mean literally a lot of clients I worked with also opened up to me about their own professional development needs and journey. And I was super happy to do that, because what it enabled me to do, and that was part of my ratings at McKinsey, was building authentic and genuine relationships to these people. And trust me with one thing, if someone else is believing you genuinely, you authentically want to help that person thrive, you want to understand that person, they will literally do everything they can for you to thrive. Be it personally, but also be it in your professional setting. And I had many clients reaching out to my senior leadership and giving them the messages I wanted them to hear, because they trusted me and they knew I'm super honest with them. I'm doing my best to help them thrive. And I'm still in contact, even up until this day, with many of them, helping and steering them on their careers. And that was the realization I had back then about me, right? So I find my professional impact and pleasure and satisfaction and seeing others thrive. For me, my career was predominantly about getting check marks on my list, right? So having done X and having done Y and having done Z, right? And I only needed to put in more work and more pressure and whatsoever to achieve the next thing, to achieve the next thing, to achieve the next thing, right? But the second I have achieved it, there was a next objective, right? And it was even more ambitious and it was even more challenging to get to. But if you're living like this and you're incapable of enjoying the journey to your next objective, then you're living a miserable professional life. And I can tell you in hindsight, I also was part of that club that invested at least 30 to 40% of their working hours in stuff that is completely irrelevant for what I'm doing right now, because I was lacking a vision. I was not reflected at all where to go. I was just keeping doors open. And that is not what you should do, and that is also not what I would suggest anyone else should do. Now, getting back to where I have been. So, quick recap, right? So family on the one end, and also realization I love to help people at scale, and I already did it. Then I switched gears also within McKinsey and was focusing big time on professional development within McKinsey & Company. I shaped many of the, what they back then called new hire orientations, took part in many coaching programs for early consultants, also made sure to help people that are a bit struggling with performance, took them on my teams and gave them a development plan and the guidance they needed in order to get to a performance level that they were satisfied with. So I realized I want to focus my professional time on having an impact on this world, right? So back then I decided to combine my passion and my impact aspirations and started to coach people professionally. At first at the side, right, with a job that I took in a McKinsey sustainability spin-off as my next step, but then full-time with starting two things. In a nutshell, I'm doing two things. I'm helping MBB applicants to maximize their chances to actually end up with an offer. That's the one business I'm doing together with a partner, and I'm doing and helping people in non-top strategy consulting backgrounds with their career reflection, performance, and also transition. This is what the careerexcellencesystem.com is standing for. However, I want to make sure that I'm reaching significantly more people than I did so far with my offerings and information and ideas and suggestions and tactics and techniques and whatsoever. So this is what you're gonna find on this YouTube channel, and today we kick it off with the first resource that I'm using nowadays also for my clients to reflect on their next career step. To really answer the question, what do I want to achieve within my professional life in a couple of years' time, and getting clearer on the direction of this, right? So it's ridiculous to understand, or it's ridiculous to say, yeah, I want to be the CEO of that company in 10 years' time. Like most of us are happy if we know what's even next week, right, or next year. Though this is not what a career vision or a clear career objective is standing for and is helping you with, but it gives you direction. It gives you direction to understand where should I spend my time and focus and resources to get closer to something that I would want to achieve in a couple of years' time, right? So I will link this resource at the bottom of this video, and you can access it for free. So that's a wrap. If you have enjoyed that video today, make sure to subscribe to this channel to keep them coming. If you have taken 1 or 2 ideas with you, also please like that video to make the algorithm happy. And if you have a question here, something that was unclear, put it in the comments below and I will do my best to answer these. So that's it for today. My name is Dr. Jan Kurbus, founder of the careerexcellencesystem.com. Have a great rest of the day.